Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Launch and Learn series. I am Praise Benson, a junior digital marketing executive here at Futuresoft. Launch and Learn is a bi-weekly program where each staff gets to train people on topics relating to our industry. If today is your first time joining us, you're welcome. Today, Kolade, our junior graphic designer, will be facilitating today's session on the topic leveraging brand collateral for a cohesive brand experience. Kindly mute your mic as we continue with the session. And if you have questions to ask as the session goes on, kindly drop them in the chat and they will be addressed by Kolade after his presentation. Thank you for your cooperation. Over to you, Kolade.
Thank you, Praise. And good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to today's session of Launch and Learn. Hope your day has been good so far. So today, on today's session, we're going to be discussing leveraging brand collateral for a cohesive brand experience, right? And we're going to try and get into what brand collateral is, essentially. We're going to get an introduction into brand collateral. Then we're going to try and discuss the benefits of leveraging brand collateral for a cohesive brand experience. And also, we are then going to get into different types of brand collateral. And also going to just, check some case studies and examples. And then we are going to eventually get into some of the best practices to engage in to have an effective collateral use, right? And I'm going to open this session by reading this quote to you by Martin Neumeier. He is a branding expert and he writes books on branding to try and communicate to brand managers, basically. So effective brand collateral serve as the visual and emotional bridge between a company and its audience. Brand collaterals should evoke a consistent feeling, message, and perception across all touchpoints, creating a cohesive and memorable brand experience, right? So basically, we are going to try and get into what brand collateral, what a brand collateral is, what they are basically, and eventually we are going to discuss what they do for brands, how they help you connect with your audience, what they do eventually, basically, once your audience interacts with them. So brand collateral encompasses the tangible elements that are strategically utilized across various mediums to convey a brand's essence and narratives to its audience, acting as the building blocks of brand recognition and loyalty development, right? So brand collaterals are different elements which basically moves your brand and brings your brand in front of your audience's face, right? At different points in time. And then you want to, basically they generate narratives for your audience. And then according to, based on the interaction of your audience with this collateral, it could help you, build recognition and also help you develop loyalty from them as well, right? These materials can be both physical and digital, right? So those are the two different types of brand collateral that we have. And we're going to get into that soon. And into like the different types that you might have seen, like websites and brochures and business cards. You must have heard of different ones, but we are going to get into them in details later on. But basically, everything plays a crucial role in establishing your brand's consistency, promoting brand recognition, and creating a cohesive brand experience across various channels, both offline and online. right? So before I go into the different types, we're going to discuss the benefits of leveraging brand collateral. I'm just trying to confirm if I can still get everybody, like if I'm getting to everybody here. I'm not sure what is wrong with my network, basically, and I don't want. Okay, I think I'm still on. All right, so moving on, we're going to the benefits of leveraging brand collateral. Basically, first of all, it will help you create easy recognition and recall for your brand, right? So, of course, one of the first things you ought to do is to create consistency through the usage of your brand collateral, right? And consistent use of them across different mediums will really help increase your brand recognition, in that these collaterals are consistently in the faces of your audience at different times, right? And what does that do for them? It basically fosters easy recognition and easy recall, right? It might be the color of your brand, or the typography or font that they see that belongs to your brand, and they're like, oh yeah, that is that brand, and they can easily, pick it out, maybe even from like maybe in like a supermarket, and they see your product on 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 the on the shelf, but then maybe they have something else that they interact that is also from you, and that's basically fosters easy recognition, right? Faster and easy recognition. And then also using very, very high quality collateral. Now, that might be digital or physical, if you remember, right? This would help you create a professional status, and also, pass the message that your brand is credible to your audience, right? So imagine if it was a business card, and the quality was very, very poor. You're basically passing a message that, well, you're not so, you're not that important to be linked with, or to even generate communication with, because that is what you're using your business card to do eventually. Or if it was a digital collateral that your audience is engaging with, and the quality is very low, you will not be taken seriously rather, and your professional status is basically going to go down, right? So when you create quality and create and share quality collateral and use them effectively, basically it raises your professional status for your brand, and it also communicates credibility to your audience. Also, using brand collateral can help you create differentiation and competitive advantage, right? So basically, your brand collateral are supposed to, help you present a narrative that is different, right? And it might be through packaging, it might be through, creative and compelling storytelling. And once your audience interact with it, they know, oh, yeah, this person is different from this person, even though they might be in the same industry, right? And then if by chance your audience is way more into what the services or products that is different that you're pushing in front of them, if that is what they are more into, well, of course, that gives you a more competitive advantage, right? And yeah, that is one of your other advantages as well. And also, using brand collaterals can help you create emotional connection and engagement with your audience. Okay. With your audience, excuse me for that. I was trying to confirm if I was still on. Right? So, yes, I was saying using brand collateral will help you create emotional connection and engagement with your brand, with your target audience, rather, with your audience, basically. So I would, well, basically, I think the best way is through creating fun, compelling, and creative storytelling through like your collateral. And this, if it connects with your audience, basically, you are going to get an emotional response, right? For instance, the emotion of joy or being pleased or being satisfied um, depends on how you communicate. For instance, if you use um, a quality business card that gets to somebody who actually has a high taste for things, of course, they will look at your brand and be like, oh, well, that is one brand to, be reckoned with. And if they reckon with you satisfy them eventually. You're creating an emotional connection with them in the sense that they feel satisfied and probably are very, very proud working with you at the same time, right? So in different ways, brand collaterals can then go a long way to create emotional connection and engagement with your audience. Also, it can help you create a positive customer relation, right? Like I just explained, it could be through user-friendly packaging. At this point, if you are creating a product, and if it is for a different audience, and if it is for um, a very, very sensitive, it might not even be sensitive, it might just be a different kind of audience, and you use different collaterals to then engage them, right? To say, oh yeah, we know you are different, and they are using this to then, um, you know, set you apart and then create this for you, right? Through user-friendly packaging design, informative brochures, or personalized promotional items, you can then delight customers at every touch point and leave a positive impression that encourages repurchase with your audience, right? So, of course, and all of this will basically lead to like increased sales and revenue, right? So, let's say your collateral has helped you create emotional connection with your audience. That's given them, their relations with your brand has given them a positive experience. And if they see that you only offer quality, of course, they will want to come back, and that is going to increase your sales and revenue eventually, right? Okay, so now I think we're going to get into the different types of brand collateral after we discuss the benefits, right? And I think I've mentioned earlier on that we have two different types. We have digital brand collateral and we have traditional and or physical brand collateral. So for now, of course, we're going to discuss digital brand collateral first. So two different types of collateral, right? Digital and print collateral. Print collateral involves physical marketing materials like brochures and business cards, creating tangible interactions, while digital collateral encompasses online assets such as websites and social media posts, enabling brands to reach a wider audience and engage with customers in real time, making it essential for brands to utilize both for comprehensive marketing, right? So basically, through that explanation, it is obvious the necessity of both different types of collateral, right? But then they work in different spaces and platforms, right? So, for instance, print collaterals provide, excuse me, provides a tangible and credible presence, especially for certain demographics, right, and industries, while digital collateral allows for broader reach, real-time engagement, data analysis, and adaptation to evolving market trends, collectively ensuring effective marketing strategy, right? So I think, for instance, not everybody is online, right? And still, for some types of interactions, or for some types of engagement, you're just basically going to eventually need to print whatsoever it is you, if it is going to be a message, if it is even going to be a marketing material, you have to basically just try and print. And even if it is just to engage both different types of audience that might exist in both different spaces, right? Different demographics, like it was mentioned here, right? You basically have to eventually engage in both. So I'm going to go into digital brand collateral now. And so basically, I've explained that already, but digital collateral are the collection of digital assets and materials that a company uses to promote its brand, engage with its audience, and communicate its message in the online realm, right? So basically, you might be thinking about a lot of things, right? So we are looking at websites and mobile apps. We have companies coming up, and of course, you are using social media posts, and you have um, you have you have email email newsletters, apparently, yeah, email newsletters, and a lot more, right? But then let's get into it. Let's break it down. So of course, first here we have websites and mobile apps. So basically, for different brands, you're going to need different ways of engaging with your audience. So therefore, of course, you are going to have a different design and layout of for your company's website, depending on how you are aiming to reach out to them, right? But of course, you want to create it so that it creates a positive first impression, right? And one of the best things for a website is for it to have a seamless user experience, right? So these are the things you want to focus on when creating your website. It is a digital collateral, right? And then you have applications which are built basically for much more easy access on your audience's phones, considering how personal phones are. So you consider mobile applications much more easy, right, to interact with, to engage with, and to use, right? And this will basically foster trust and loyalty if they have good experience, a seamless user experience using your website and your mobile app, right? And then next on, we have email newsletters, right? These are typically curated content, right, that you share with your audience. Um, you include maybe updates or promotions or major or basic announcements about your brand. For instance, if you have a new product, or even if it is to test a new product that you want to make your audience feel special, you could then say, oh yeah, we are testing this out with our loyal customers and all of that. Basically, and you could use that to reach out to them and share relevant information or tailor it to basically the people that are majorly connected to your brand, like, right? They serve as, and also they serve as an added brand communication channel in general, right? Ensuring consistent branding and messaging in that your logo is always there, your colors are always there, your fonts are basically always in front of them, right? So when they see your name, even if it is not in your font, but then they will easily recognize it because in their email, they are always getting you there, right? They always have information from your email newsletters, right? Also, social media post templates. So basically, they are vital elements of digital brand collateral, embodying a brand's identity through graphical elements like colors, fonts, and imagery. They enhance brand recognition, engage audiences effectively, and create a consistent visual presence across social platforms, right? And basically, you'll be, of course, I don't think it is not so obvious why any brand at this point in today, in this year, 2024, won't be online, right? And what is the easiest way to create a presence and a unique identity for yourself is through social media post templates, right? Use your colors, use your fonts, a curated type of imagery that is so unique to your brand, and that will help brands easily recognize you online. There are so many other brands online, but then of course you need to use this as a collateral to put yourself out there, right? And then make sure your audience, interact with you, or you interact with them, pass information, share valuable information with them, or just to basically engage them for different things like creating emotional connection with them and the likes, right? And lastly, on digital collaterals, we have ebooks and case studies, right? Okay, so ebooks and case studies share similarities with blog posts as they aim to establish industry expertise through engaging content, but are typically longer, more detailed than a standard blog post, right? So in ebooks, I think they are more curated to audiences who are way more into your industry and what you do as a brand, right? You use that to share very, very detailed information with your audience and people who are extremely committed to your brand, right? So and then eventually, and case studies as well, apparently, right? You use case studies to then case studies from the brand's perspective in sharing them with your audience. You can use that to share your knowledge of in the industry, right? Of basic examples, of good examples of maybe your services and products, of things that are working and not working, and you share them. And these are obviously valuable collateral that you can share with your audience. And at the same time, they can serve as gated content, right? Gated content that you can use to drive and basically gain more engagement with your audience, or basically just to lead generation for lead generation, right? I think I'm not sure if I explained gated content properly. So gated content basically would have maybe a form attached to it. So let's say you are sharing an ebook, right? And when your audience are trying to maybe interact with the ebook, maybe get it maybe from wherever you might be keeping it, maybe it is from a drive that belongs to your brand, or maybe it is just on your website or your website. Then maybe there's a pop-up information info form, right, where they fill in their email and also maybe subscribe to further emails from you for further information on maybe the topic or basically just what you are in the industry for, right? So yeah, that is what gated content, basically serve as, and ebooks and case studies can serve as that. So I think that is the last on digital collateral. Now we're going to move into print collateral. Right? And I think I explained the other time that print collateral are basically printed versions of collaterals, right? And they serve basically to a different audience, or even serve different purposes entirely, right? So what an e-flyer or where an e-flyer that you're sharing on social media will get to, a printed handbill will probably get there, right? And right, we are talking about print brand collateral, right? And it varies, right? It has different elements, different resources that we're going to get into them basically now, right? So you have stationery first, right? Stationery encompasses a range of items used for communication and correspondence within a business context. These items typically include business cards, letterheads, envelopes, and notepads. The primary purpose of stationery is to provide a professional and consistent representation of the brand in all written communication with customers, partners, and stakeholders, right? So, like I said, they serve a very, very different purpose entirely, right? Over here, you say the primary purpose of stationery is to provide a professional and consistent representation of the brand in all written communication with customers, partners, and other stakeholders, right? So, well, today you might want to argue and say, well, almost everybody is online, right? Well, still today, you might still not find everybody online. That is almost everybody. And then if you are a very, very serious brand, you want to communicate with everybody as much as possible, bring them in, make sure they are carried along with your brand and the decisions and the changes that are happening with your brand, right? At least the ones you want them to know. Exactly. So I think one of the first basic type of stationery or resources that businesses use mostly is business cards, right? So I think till today you still find business cards still they're still in existence and still being used, even though everybody is online, right? But still, sometimes you probably just might not find that person's name on Instagram or forget their brand name because it was 2 years ago that you had an experience with them, but you just need to reach out to them as soon as possible because you had that experience, but then you forgot, maybe, right? These things happen, right? And these are the things that these things are useful for, right? I'm not saying that is primarily their assignments, but of course, those kind of situations can happen, and that would be very, very useful if they have a business card from the brand, right? And then they pick it up and say, oh, yeah, I forgot their Instagram name, but I have their business card somewhere, and they look for it and find it and reach out to you, right? So business cards are basically exchanged during networking events, meetings, and other business interactions to facilitate future communication and establish a memorable impression, basically, right? So they are as important as little as they might want to be. And then if you don't forget, I also mentioned that the quality will also matter, right? The quality will be very, very, very important because if it is, you can't use a piece of paper as your business card, right? You are going to look like a very, very unserious person, right? So you want to use very, very quality, and then that all of that depends on you and how you think your brand should be perceived, whatever materials you then eventually decide to use. And then from that, you have letterheads. You use letterheads basically for external communications, right? To create a professional status around your business, right? So let's say there's an issue with something. Let's say your brand is interacting with another brand for, let's say, goods and services exchange, business to business. Then you have you use letterheads basically to communicate, right? If that is how you want to communicate, if that is what is necessary, right? And basically, it just shows that you're professional. And of course, when they are going to refer to it, they're going to say this is the official statement from the brand, right? Exactly. That is what that does. It basically makes you look professional, like you know what you're doing. And also creates a consistency for your brand, because in designing letterheads, your your brand visual identity system also comes into play, right? And all of that basically helps you create consistency of how your brand is being viewed and all of that. And then you have envelopes. Envelopes basically contribute to the overall cohesiveness of brand communication and reinforce the brand identity before the recipient even opens the email, right? So you see let's say you're getting a package from a business, and even if it contains a letterhead or a package for you, right? What you first see is the envelope, and of course, the sizes might vary depending on what it might be containing, right? So basically, you want to brand it well so that it reinforces your brand identity, and basically your brand, it fosters easy recognition, right? And even if they are looking for that particular envelope that contains the information or the package that you've sent, it is very, very easy for it to be found, right? And then you have notepads as well. And branded notepads provide a practical and promotional tool for jotting down notes, ideas, and reminders. They often serve as subtle yet effective brand reminders for both internal use and distribution to clients or prospects, right? So day in, day out, people are still doing a couple of jottings, and usually these things will carry your brand logo, which will carry your brand's name, right? So at different points, whosoever is using this collateral from your brand keeps engaging with your brand identity, right? With your visual identity, and they come in contact with it every time they use that notepad. So basically, it is helping you. It is literally marketing your brand, right? It is just there and lives rent-free in the user's head. And then lastly, on stationaries, we have folders and binders, right? So these branded folders, um, like I mentioned earlier, they are used for different purposes, and these ones are just used to organize documents, presentations. They are used for proposals. If you send proposals out and then you use a folder that belongs to you, of course, then they are going to easily be able to recognize the content of the folder as yours, as belonging to your brand, right? And generally, they provide a professional and organized way to store and present information during meetings, client pitch, or sales representation, right? So apart from stationery, we have marketing and promotional collateral, right? So these are basically print materials, and they play a crucial role in marketing strategies by complementing digital efforts and reaching audiences in physical environments. If you remember what I said about e-flyers and printed flyers, basically. So they contribute to brand visibility, promotion, and communication, helping businesses convey their messages effectively and engage with their target audience both offline and online, right? So here's a breakdown of marketing and promotional collateral, right? So you have, first on the list, we have brochures. They are used to inform customers about products or services. They are commonly used at events or for direct mail campaigns, and are utilized by businesses and organizations to promote their offerings and engagement with potential customers. So I'm not sure, but maybe at some point you've interacted with brochures from corporate businesses that are probably mailed to maybe our parents or something, or maybe to you, I don't know, right? And basically what you're going to find in there, okay, let's use say an agro investment company ships that to you, and what you're going to find is how their year went, the investment, the ROIs, and basically like what it takes for you to be interested in engaging their brand. basically, right? That is what you're going to find in those brochures, basically, right? And that's why it serves as a very, very good collateral to use as a business organization, right? And then we have leaflets and flyers. These are used by businesses and organizations to share promotional information about products, services, or events with existing and potential customers, right? You don't know where your leaflets are going to get to eventually. So even if you share them, if you think, oh, in this area we have our customers, basically, we know in this area people use our products around here, and then you go ahead to go and share that. But then, of course, you should know that by by some chances the flyers will get out of that place and get to other places, right? And people who are not in that demographic will actually eventually interact with it, right? So usually you distribute them in public areas through mailings and encourage actions like visiting a website, making a purchase, or attending an event. And then after that, you have banners and posters. So banners and posters, they are key components of brand marketing collateral, right? Designed to convey messages effectively and engage target audience. Banners with their large format and visibility are ideal for outdoor advertising, events, and trade shows, right? While posters are impactful in indoor settings, right? They are used for maybe to further on say, oh, we are here inside this place, inside this indoor setting, we are the ones that are here, right? Even though your banner is outside and very, very big and all of that, right? So that is how those types of print promotional collateral work. And then next, we have packaging, right? Packaging as a collateral plays a multifaceted role in branding, right? Serving both functional and promotional purposes, right? So um, beyond merely containing and protecting products, packaging serves as a tangible representation of your brand's identity and values, right? So let's just get into the breakdown because I'm checking the time and we don't have so much of it. So product protection, right? So eventually when you create a product and you, let's say you're a farmer and you're creating, you're farming rice, and you need to maybe ship it, move it from one place to the other, right? It is important that you protect it, right, from damage during transit and storage, right? So you package it, create packaging for that. You could create packaging for that because just basically because of that, right? But then eventually you're going to see that then for brand identification can also come into play, right? Once you brand it, you then want your because every other farmer is also going to protect their product. You're also then going to try and differentiate your own packaging and be like, oh yeah, we packaged our brand to protect it, right? But then I am the one producing this, or this brand, we are the one producing this, and this is our own, right? As a visual identifier for products, allowing customers to quickly recognize and differentiate between brands in store shelves or online platforms, right? So branded packaging typically features the company's logo, colors, imagery, basically everything that points to your brand's identity, right? Visually. And also, what packaging using packaging as a collateral will do for you is to help in information communication, right? So on your packaging, you might want to eventually include different information about the product and your services basically, or even about your brand, right? For instance, usage instructions, nutritional facts, and safety warnings. Clear and concise communication on packaging helps consumers make informed purchasing decision, and builds trust in the brand, right? And then finally, I think, excuse me. Finally, marketing, it is also used, packaging collateral is also used for marketing and promotion, right? Packaging services serves as a powerful marketing tool for promoting products and capturing customers' attention. Eye-catching design, innovative packaging structures, and persuasive messaging can attract potential buyers, evoke emotions, and influence purchase decisions. Packaging also facilitates brand storytelling by communicating the brand's unique selling points and brand values, right? So you want to look into how your brand, your audience are going to interact with your package, with your brand and product from the package, starting with the package, right? And then you want to be intentional about it. They might go into like the quality or the different experience to give them interacting with it, right? And now another type of promotional and print collateral, marketing and print collateral, is signage, right? Signage encompasses various forms of visual communication displayed in physical spaces to convey information, promote products and services, and guide or attract customers. So signage is utilized both indoors and outdoors in retail stores, corporate offices, event venues, and public spaces, right? So I think if you were to go looking for a business in a space, you'll probably be looking for their signage and be like, so where eventually is this brand? What are you looking for is a signage, right? It helps with their brand visibility wherever it is that they are, right? It helps with their presence in physical environments, ensuring that it stands out amongst competitors and captures the attention of passerby, right? Right? Branded signage featuring the company's logo, colors, and messaging enhances brand recognition and reinforces the brand identity in the minds of consumers, right? So it does a basic primary assignment, that is in signages. You're basically going to help your brand get noticed easily. And also one of the uses of signage, right, is to create a brand atmosphere, right? I think this is very, very easily noticed when you go to an airport or a very, very, let's say banks as well, right? You enter a bank and you're going to basically see different signages everywhere using their color and their fonts, basically to um, create an atmosphere and say, oh, you are going to know the difference between going to GT Bank and Access Bank, even though they are both using orange, but their oranges are different, right? So you're going to get a different experience entering their physical space, right? You're going to get a different atmosphere. And whether it is true stylish storefront signage, vibrant interior designs, or thematic decorations, like I said, right? Signage helps create immersive brand experiences that resonate with customers and leave a lasting impression. Also, you can use it for wayfinding and navigation. So and this is not limited to outdoors, right? Even inside the building that belongs to your company, you can have tiny, tiny signages that direct to maybe the elevator or a different conference room, depending on how many number of conference rooms you might have, or the restrooms, different spaces, right? You might also lead direct to maybe like um, entrances and exits or points of interest, basically. Clear and intuitive signage improves the overall customer experience, reduces confusion, and fosters a sense of comfort and reassurance, right? And lastly, for signage, we have promotion and advertising, right? So signages um, at exhibition booths, they can serve as a dynamic platform, for promoting products, special offers, events, or marketing campaigns, right? From creatively designed booth spaces to interactive kiosks. Exhibition booths serve as dynamic spaces where businesses can creatively showcase their brand products and services to engage with event attendees and potential customers, right? So basically, you create um, an interesting and memorable experience through the use of signage for your audience at different spaces where they are going to be interacting with this, of course, and that is like physical spaces in outdoors or indoors, basically. And then I think lastly on promotional marketing and print collateral, we have merchandise, right? So merchandise are tangible products imprinted with a company's logo, slogan, or other brand elements. These items are distributed as gifts, giveaways, or incentives to customers, employees, partners, and event attendees. And basically, they serve, you know, different purposes, or just generally, everything is to the advantage of your business. And a breakdown of those things. One of the first ones is brand awareness. Brand awareness, right? So merchandise serve as a mobile advertising platform, right? Because once you distribute them, once they are taken from you as a brand, they go to different spaces, right? It could be a shirt, it could be a tote bag. It is going to get to very, very different places entirely. It could be passed from one person to the other, right? And wherever that person goes, your brand goes, right? So you call it a mobile advertising platform, right? And these items act as walking billboards that showcase the brand to a wider audience and spark conversations about the company, right? Also, they will foster customer engagement, right? These items provide opportunities for meaningful engagement and interaction with customers, fostering positive brand associations and loyalty. So, giving away useful or desirable items creates a sense of reciprocity and appreciation, encouraging customers to engage with the brand and remain connected over time. So basically, what you are doing, sharing your merchandise to your customers, is literally appreciating them and letting them know that you do, right? In a way they feel appreciated and seen and taken seriously. Basically, they are like, well, they are creating these things, and they are giving it to us, and it is for free, right? Like we said, you share them as gifts, and they go wherever these people go. But then your customers are going to feel seen, and they are going to feel as part of your brand because you actually noticed them, you think about them and created something to give to them, right? Also, they will serve, they'll help you, in event marketing. So let's say there's an event and you'll see this a lot. You see branded shirts for different events, right? You see bags, you see pens and jotters and different things, right? From an event. It could be from a trade show, conference, a corporate gathering, right? You're going to see those things, and when you interact with them, basically, you are going to get attracted to the brand and the event eventually. So maybe, and of course, they share these kind of things maybe before the event in order to like um, create engagement to have people talking about it, right? So you see the shirt and you're like, oh, maybe it is a nice design on it, and that sparks conversation. And they're like, oh yeah, it is for this event and I'm going. And basically that is marketing. That is event marketing for your brand, right? And basically it keeps the brand top of mind long after the event has also ended, right? So if the event ends and this person is still keeping the shirt, basically, even if it is just because of the design or because whoever is seeing the shirt and whatever was written on it is interested, would ask, oh, so what brand is this? So what business is this organization, right? And that basically, continues engagement and keeps your brand in different conversations even after your event is done. And then for the people for your customers, for your consumers, basically, if you feel your brand is, credible and they want to be associated with you, of course, your merchandise is then going to, basically be a way for those people to express their affinity to your brand, right? And align themselves with its values and identity. So basically, you could use merchandise as a collateral to basically foster inclusivity for your customers in your business, right? Let them feel the let them feel seen and known by you as a business, even though in the heads of everybody, you have, as a business, you have different customers, but then still you you you're taking notice of them as a customer, basically. Now we are going to get into some case studies briefly, right? So case studies, and the first one that I have here is Society for Corporate Governance in Nigeria. We at Futuresoft worked on this. So you are going to see basically print collaterals here, and some digital collaterals are also here, right? You can see these envelopes, letterheads, envelopes and business cards. And then you can see different merchandise around here. You can see the bottles, the cups. And also for like indoor branding, you can see a banner here, and there's a pen around here as well. And on the topmost layer here, these were newsletter formats and websites that were created for the brand as well, right? So all of this have helped SCGN really to create a presence, and one that can easily be identified considering the brand, right? The brand colors and everything that we've incorporated and make sure they are consistent all through, all around, right? You can see the brand color going from the envelope down to the website, right? And down to like the pen, even the bottles, right? So we made sure there was consistency that was created and everything looks as professional as possible and help them create a good brand representation. And so we had Food Pro, and we did some packaging designs for them as well for their cashew nut products. So you could see we have some of their tiny boxes here with and then also for the cashew nuts pouches that they use basically, and then you have like the bag where they could use to package the product, and then share that with their consumers and their customers, like, right? So basically, when we talked about product protection, so you would not want to. I mean, Food Pro would not want to sell their cashew nuts now and then say, "Oh, come here, let's pack it and then put it in your hands," right? That would not. You are probably going to look at them and then move away and just go by your business. All right, and you go ahead to go and purchase this, and actually this will then also see that their products are in different spaces, right, where they are not. You'll see this at a supermarket and then easily recognize, oh, this is cashew nuts from Food Pro, and if this is what you are into, if this is what you've had before, you had a good experience, you're basically just going to, get it and purchase it, right? And on my next example, so I have this very, very common and popular example. I don't know how popular it is, right? But around me, it is very, very popular. right? So once you this is one of those collaterals where this brand has been using it, and what it does is just basically do marketing for them, basically, right? If I'm not sure around you, but around me, when you interact with this brand and you carry these nylons, people start looking at you in a different way, right? But then beyond that, beyond the fact that it attaches you to a particular brand, what this brand has been able to do is to use these collaterals to market and basically communicate at different times, right? So if you look at the one individual here, this was probably one of those times where they were just maybe it was Christmas or New Year, and you have this firework kind of designs around it, right? And basically you have um, lower prices you can trust, which is basically what they exist for um, as a brand. And that is what you're going to see. And the reason why you know this is even for maybe Christmas or New Year design or promotion is because you are seeing the fireworks. Because on a normal day, look around here, you're not going to see that, right? This is what you're going to see over here. You're just going to see the shop, right? And their name underneath it, right? Basic. And moving on from that, so basically you could use this types of collateral, right, to share information, do a little bit of marketing as far as it could go. And these are also collaterals that are going to be recyclable, right? So they are used even after they've made the purchase from your brand. They could use it again and again and again and again. And you could see that in what we did for Food Pro as well in this bag, right? They could use it at different times. And basically it reinforces the brand because you could see the logo at every time, at different times rather. And also, so over here, this is everybody knows about Disneyland, right? So you Disneyland has a lot of merches that it sell, right? At the park, and it ranges from children to adults, right? You could even see this guy swagging this cross bag, right? And it has their designs all over it and everything basically. Now imagine this guy goes all the way from wherever to wherever and he's carrying this bag. And this basically just goes along to say to the other person, like, oh, you could actually go to Disneyland and go and have fun, right? And get a cool bag like this, or maybe this exciting bag, right? Depends on what you think of it, right? But basically, that merchandise, that collateral has traveled from one place to the other and basically marketed the brand. So this is a brand, this is a cinema actually, and this is the logo of the cinema. Pod is the name of the cinema. And basically what they did was to use the elements of their logo for their signage and their interior designs, right? So over, if you look around here, you can see different letters, QUAD, different cinema rooms, right? And around here, you're also going to see different signages that points to different, for instance, this is a signage to Q, cinema room Q, cinema room U, A, and D, right? And this is, in my opinion, I think it was a very, very successful use of signage and their brand collateral to basically communicate to their audience, right? And quickly, I want to, but I'm way past time, right? And I'm trying to finish up. So lastly, this is also one of the brands that we worked at FutureSoft, worked on at FutureSoft. So these are the merchandise, different merchandise that we created for them, right? Kenna Partners is a corporate brand, and like I have explained earlier on, these are the things that you are then going to eventually see, right? That the brand can share to their customers and consumers, basically, and their audience. So quickly, I want to get into some of the best practices to engage in, right, for brand collateral usage. So first things first, of course, is to know your audience, right? You want to tailor your collateral to resonate with your target audience, understand their preferences, needs, and pain points to create the right collateral for effective marketing, right? So if for instance, I'm not sure about how different brands might be marketing, right? But then if your brand is about fun, I think you might want to be everywhere, right? You might want to be on social media and use as much collateral as possible to market, to create presences in different places. The same way Disneyland did with the shirts and the bags and different other things that they are probably selling, and the toys they could be selling to children, right, at different points in time. So you have to know your audience and know what collateral to push out at different times and to which audience, right? So also you want to highlight unique selling propositions, right? You want to emphasize your brand's unique selling points in your collateral, right? Clearly use every opportunity to communicate what sets your brand apart from competitors through your brand collateral. So again, I'm going to go back and refer to the Disneyland collateral, the merch design, where you have the bag looking really exciting, right? The first thing you can attach to Disneyland is fun and excitement, right? So basically, let's say we're all over the place, right? That is what you see even in the design of the merches, right? Including the stretch shirts that the children were wearing. It was just designed all over everywhere, right? And that is what you find at Disneyland, right? It's just fun that is going to blow your mind, basically. And then also you want to focus on quality, right? Like I mentioned earlier on, the quality of your collateral is going to basically sell a narrative to whoever is engaging with that collateral, right? If the quality is bad, it basically communicates that you are not taking your brand seriously or your audience seriously, and you're not to be taken seriously as well, right? And also, you want to make sure that you're telling a story, right? Use your collateral to tell a compelling brand story. Connect with your audience on an emotional level by showcasing how your brand solves problems, fulfills aspirations, or adds value to their lives, right? So I remember McDonald's actually had at one point um, some different types of products, foods that they were selling, and they had different packaging, right, for their vegan customers, and they had to like create a different packaging and then try a little bit of storytelling on it, right? Those packaging, like we said, we mentioned packaging as part of collateral, right? So basically, that is what you might try and do: tell a story, make it make it have an emotional connection with your audience, basically. And then also, very very importantly, you want to measure and iterate whatsoever it is that you're doing or whatsoever your brand collateral is doing eventually, right? So you want to know how far it has gone, know who it has interacted with, and after knowing all of that, you then use it to refine and improve your strategies for effectiveness of future collateral designs, right? So you want to monitor metrics such as website traffic, social media engagement, and email open rates to gauge how your audience is interactive with your brand collateral. Also, gather feedback from customers through surveys or focus groups to understand their perceptions of your brand collateral, right? So these are the things you want to gather information of how your collateral is doing, of what your audience are doing with it, of how they perceive it, use that and basically refine and then re-engage, right? Also, it is very, very important to stay on the brand, adhere to your brand guidelines and standards, right? When creating collateral, this includes using approved logos, color, imagery, and language to maintain brand consistency and integrity. Basically, all of that is basically just going to maintain your brand status, whatsoever it is that your audience thinks of you, right? You want to maintain all of that. In conclusion, I'm going to say in summary, each type of brand collateral serves a specific purpose and contributes to building a cohesive brand experience across various touch points, right? So what a printed flyer would do, and a flyer might not. What whosoever your email newsletter has gotten to, you might need to like ship or send mail, like physical mail instead, with maybe the information you are trying to share in order to reach those people, right? In order to reach that demographic. At different points in time, you are going to need different types of collateral, and you have to be very, very intentional about knowing what that is, what collateral to use at different times, and that is basically what you want to focus on. And then I think considering all of that and going through the best practices, you would eventually create a cohesive brand experience through the usage of your brand collateral. So I'm done, and now I want to ask if there are questions.
Yeah, so well done, Kolade, on that great training on brand collaterals.
Thank you.
Do we have any question for Kolade? Does anyone have any feedback, question?
Yes, please, I do have a question.
All right, please go
Okay,
ahead.
Pascal. Hi.
Right, thank you. Good afternoon, firstly, and thank you, Kolade, for that very detailed presentation. I enjoyed the most of it. So my question is around finding the balance between branding and a boring template, right? So what I mean in detail is if my brand color, for example, is maybe a mundane color, maybe an indigo or a brown, and probably that's really just because of the kind of product I use. And I meet a brand expert who designs a very brownish website for me. All my collateral is brown. All my TikTok page content brown. YouTube page content brown. Instagram content brown. So in essence, obviously, this expert is not creative enough to spice up the brown with some other tones and whatnot. So how does an expert find the balance between maintaining the consistency of letting people know that, hey, when you see brown, know that it's this brand, and avoid the risk of being completely boring because the color itself is not especially exciting in the first place. So having too much of it can really get boring in the eyes of viewers. So how would you advise an expert to maintain and manage that?
Okay, Pascal, thank you very much. First of all, I'm going to ask you as the brand, is that what you want to achieve? And also, is the expert also recommending that, right? Because eventually to actually go back to your brand strategy, what are you trying to achieve? What is it that you want to do with your brand, right? How are you trying to engage your audience? How are you trying to sell yourself, right? And all of that will then, go ahead and then put into consideration who your target audience are, right? Eventually, basically, because you are then going to try to create or curate and make whatever it is that you are creating to suit what your brand is trying to do, you are trying to communicate with. Besides, that is even not, into what I mean. Brand collaterals will have to come after that. I see David raising his hand. David.
Okay, yeah, I want to speak to that a little bit. So I
Okay,
think
okay.
you've made some insightful efforts so far in answering that. So, but one of the things I want to verify, Pascal, so is it an issue of trying to find a balance in terms of maintaining consistency and not being boring, or you already have a boring brand and you're figuring out how to make this brand look better? So I think I need to understand what the question
Exactly.
really is.
Yes. Very
Pascal,
good.
Okay,
please.
okay, good. So it's obviously a hypothetical question, so I can't really give you details of what the reality is. But let's say, for example, the brand here is something like a fertilizer brand, right? They
Okay.
manufacture fertilizer or some soil related things. So you can imagine they want to stick with natural colors, green and brown and the like. Now, let's also assume that they've just recently included a new product that is more B2C. So it's not necessarily just for farmers. Maybe they have maybe created a dog food or something, or some other product that is a bit more exciting, that requires a bit more of um, broader customer facing element. Now, the initial branding is very mundane, very low key and boring. And then we need to spice it up a little bit for the B2C customers we're trying to attract. Um,
Okay.
and then also, yeah, you get.
Okay, so I think the major thing here is so first, one I think you can also refer to the training I talked about, navigating, brand refresh and a rebrand. So the first thing you need to understand is, and we've had clients which we've had such issues with where they've worked with, supposed professionals, just like you say. And then the colors they've used to depict their brands are not actually proper for what they want to do, what they want to achieve, or even the strategy behind the brand itself. So when you find yourself in a position where what you have is not working, Kolade mentioned going back to your strategy. That's usually like the first phase. You go back to your strategy to really review to see if what you are already doing, because we have cases, for instance, where people tell you they like purple. So purple should be reflected on the brand. But then when you look at the industry they play in, I mean, you don't see anybody using purple. And then maybe then if you want to look at maybe the archetype of the brand, for consideration, because some of them might give you examples like, oh, okay, in the banking sector, you say a lot of blue, but how about GT Bank? But then you fail to understand the primary demography GT Bank targets, and you fail to understand how GT Bank is trying to express themselves as a brand and how that ties into their strategy. So basically, everything falls back to the strategy and it all has to align your brand expression, your values, your target audience, your brand essence, your mission, your vision. Each and every one of these has to be targeted and your identity has to reflect the strategy your brand is built on. So when we encounter such cases where you have a mundane brand that is not very exciting, even if you're trying to build something new, we often make recommendations for you to go back, to the foundational work, and we ensure that we align everything properly. And we have had cases where we totally transform these brands. SCGN he gave, for instance, the initial visuals of SCGN, were something else, but we totally transformed it completely into what it is right now. And when we find ourselves in such situation, that's just the best. It's either we recommend a brand refresh or a rebrand, but in cases where you find clients that are too stubborn, if you use that one, and they don't want to actually change what they have, what they are using, or maybe they've become too big where what they have to stick to it because of the cost of what it would take to implement, or because that so boring brand they have has already built equity. So if you're working on the primary brand itself, in that case, you just have to manage, and that's where the creativity of your team has to come in to see how they can make the best out of whatever color palette, whatever font the brand is using. But primarily, as long as there's an option, a refresh or a rebrand is always recommended. And then if it's a case where, it's a subsidiary, of a brand already existing, like you made mention of the fact, like maybe a fertilizer brand, and, they initially maybe target a B2C audience, and now they're trying to build a subsidiary or an arm of the company in general that targets B2B, for instance. In such cases as well, if it's coming to us afresh, we can actually then figure out how best to communicate that. If especially if they don't have a brand architecture in place, then that gives us a lot of free hands. In that case, we would want to go to a house of brands. We want to deviate away completely from that brand that is not too exciting and that may not be reflective of the idea we're trying to express. They would want to go away from this. So, but at a primary level, as long as there's an opportunity, when you encounter brands that are not reflective of the essence and the idea of the brand itself, it's often best to recommend, they review the foundational strategy. And of course, you recommend a refresh or a rebrand in that case. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Pascal, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Okay, so I think Praise, you can take over the session now.
All right. Thank you, Kolade, once again. Thank you, David, for the contribution, and thank you, Pascal, for the question. I hope you gain clarity as it should be. So we are bringing this session to a close right now. In the absence of any further questions, we can now bring the session to an end. Please note that this video will be available on our YouTube channel. And if you have questions while watching the video, kindly drop them in the comment section. We'll be very happy to answer your questions. Do join us next time for another exciting session, another exciting and insightful session. Do have a lovely day. Goodbye, everyone.